Happy Sunday. Today we're going to be talking about hearing God's voice and why you don't hear God's voice and how you can hear God's voice. So a lot of people complain about how they can't hear God's voice. They say, God doesn't speak to me. I pray and I read the Bible. God's not speaking to me. And they just go on about their day. And they just accept the fact that God won't speak to them. And there's a few points that we're going to be covering on how to fix that and why God may not be speaking to you. So first, I heard this story, and this person they had a hard time sleeping at night because their mind would just be racing with ideas and with revelations, and they'd be wondering like why does this always happen when I'm asleep? Why can't I get this stuff like during the day when I'm not trying to sleep? And and God told them that that's the only time that you're silent. It's the only time when there's no noise around you and when there's nothing to distract you, is when you're just laying in bed about to fall asleep with nothing happening. So we are in 1 Kings chapter 19, and this is when Elijah the prophet gets a revelation from God. So we're going to start in verse 11. Then he said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, and behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind tore into the mountains and broke the rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind, and after the wind, an earthquake. The Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. The Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice." So it was when Elijah heard it that he wrapped his face in mantle and went out and stood in the entrance of the cave. Suddenly a voice came to him and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" So it's talking about, we had great winds that broke rocks. And he was on the mountain, Elijah was. We had earthquakes, natural disaster. We had fire, very, very destructive, very, very loud, very powerful fire. The Lord was not in any of those. But after the fire, a still small voice. And I gotta highlight that. I haven't even highlighted it. A still small voice after the fire. God has a still small voice. That's what people have to realize. And when there's so much just noise happening all around you, God has no room to talk. He's not in social media. He's not in the TV on. He's not in music blasting. He's not in crowds of people surrounding you. He's not in activities that you could be doing. Sorry, I'm smacking my gum a lot. He's not in any of those things, but after, he has a still small voice. So that's why it's so important to have like a prayer room. Like for me, sometimes I even just get in my closet if I have that much trouble hearing God, because you can't see anything, that you can't hear anything. Like there's nothing to be distracted by. You can't be distracted. God has a still small voice. You have to be accepting. You have to be ready and not distracted. You can't say that God doesn't speak to you when there's all this noise around you and you can't even hear his voice. He's a still small voice. You have to give yourself the chance to hear it. And then another point, we're in Luke, and again, if you've watched the past two videos, both the points have come out of Luke, because every time I do the Christmas series, he just gives me new things. That's the beauty of God's word. So it's talking about a friend that comes at midnight. We're just going to go through real quick. And he said to them, "Which of you shall have a friend and go to him at midnight and say to him, 'Friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread. For a friend of mine has come to me on his journey, and I have nothing to set before him.' And he will answer from within and say, 'Do not trouble me. The door is now shut, and my children are with me in bed. I cannot rise and give to you.' I say to you, though he will not rise and give to him because he is his friend, yet because of his persistence, he will rise and give him as many as he needs." So the friend at midnight, no one's gonna give you bread at midnight because you're his friend. They're gonna be like, "Dude, my kids are asleep. The door's already locked and shut. I'm not gonna give you bread." But if you keep knocking, and that's Jesus's next teaching point, is ask and you shall receive. If you keep knocking, if you're so persistent, he's eventually going to give you bread because he's just tired of you asking. And now, I'm not saying that God gets tired of you asking, but we have to be persistent. That's another reason a lot of people cannot hear God's voice, is because they ask him one time and they're not in the quiet where his voice is, and they're also not asking multiple times. They ask one time and say, "God doesn't answer prayers. God didn't answer my prayer. He didn't hear me. He's not speaking to me." The friend will not give his friend bread because he's his friend. He's going to give him bread because he keeps on asking. So we have to continue to ask, and it goes to show our faith, that no matter how many times we ask, we know God's going to give us the answer, and we know God's going to provide. No matter we don't care. It shows such great faith that to say that I don't care how many times I have to ask, I'm going to continue to ask. I'm going to continue to be persistent because I trust that that's how I'm going to get the answer. I trust that that's how I'm going to get the healing. I trust that that's how I'm going to get revelation, is from God. So I'm going to keep on asking. So it just bothers me when people, and again, it's not, who am I to judge? I don't know people's hearts, but people just ask one time. Because I used to do this. I used to do that, so I can testify to it. Let's say you go to a room, and you're like, "God, whatever." I can't think of an example. Like, "God, please speak to me. Please show me what I need to do with this decision. Please show me what decision I should make here. Please show me what job to get. Please help me just continue to find my purpose, to find my calling." And they ask one time, or they say, "God, please heal whoever. Please heal this sickness. Please just answer this prayer." But they're not persistent. Not persistent. We have to be persistent. We're not going to get bread because we're a friend. We're going to get bread because we're persistent. And we have to be silent. We have to be ready and willing to hear God's voice. God is a still small voice. We have to cut out all the noise, and we have to be persistent, and we have to give him the chance to speak. We have to give ourselves the chance to hear his still small voice. He is a still small voice, and we must be persistent. Be anxious about nothing, but in everything pray. Do everything in prayer and supplication. Hope you guys have a great Sunday, and just reflect on the week, and refocus your mind back on Christ.